Good morning. It's a special day somehow. I guess they all are. I guess every moment is, if we're just alert to it. And that's hard, especially for our brethren who have to work a job and who have worldly responsibilities. I know that's hard. But it's still possible. This is as close as our breath at any time. Well, things have continued to change and yet stay the same in some strange way. The last few months have been overall somewhat challenging energetically, keeping up with the now I'm just guessing, but what I seem to perceive as the incoming floods and rushes of energy, and things are shifting, and it's actually shifting our biology along with it. I don't know how it's going for the people who aren't on any kind of a spiritual path. Right now, I really wouldn't want to be them because this shifting is going on there too. But when you're identified with the body or with the body mind and you're not inward focused, well, things seem more difficult with less understanding given about it. Now, I'm still a little uncomfortable with the camera again. I got comfortable with it for a while, but maybe it's me I'm uncomfortable with. I don't know. But rather than write this, I know some people enjoy it much more if I just turn on the camera and talk. You'd be surprised how hard that is, or can be. My now of late has been special. More and more, the two worlds that we're walking in, I'm sensing they're merging. I'm sensing, just to give it a word, okay? Don't get stuck in the words. It's not necessarily this, but it'll be descriptive if I say I'm sensing the fifth dimension being present here in the third. Now, I'd say we're shifting from here to there. We also already, it's not a place we're going, we already have a fifth dimensional presence. We have, if you could imagine it, stacked up above us, layers and levels. And this is just a linear way to describe something that's not at all linear, so keep it in mind. You have a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and I don't know how high it goes. A being that actually is you, that actually lives in a dimension that isn't just like this one, and that actually has a whole and complete life there. You're functioning there. You might be on a starship somewhere as a member of the crew in your higher dimensional being. It's kind of funny, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to think about living all of your incarnations. That's a surprise when we find out about reincarnation, and then all of a sudden it's not so surprising. As we live from the heart, as we live from our center, And it's not necessarily associated with the body. Again, that's just a word. As we live from our center, when we hear truth, there's just a certain resonance. And we learn to follow that. And I'm learning along with everyone else. Sometimes we're wrong, but we become fearless. And so if we're led to follow something, we're not afraid anymore. I used to not want to bring anything negative into my awareness. I used to, be just want to be positive all the time. I used to worry about being polluted, if you will, by something that was dark. And you just step into a real fearlessness and you find yourself unconcerned. And you know that if after following this for a while, the resonance and the flavor of it at some point doesn't seem right, you can just walk away and you're not harmed. And you can't be. This is an eternal beingness, and it is so beautiful and so wonderful that we have access to it right here in 3D. Now, in a way, it's not in 3D, but there's that portal. If we can just bring ourselves to center, to be in the moment, to be completely without thought, out of the mind, out of time, space, just still, silent, empty, in heart, say it how you will. We have 24/7 access to this, and it is divine. And I don't understand it, but do I need to? Do we need to understand how the engine works to turn the key and operate the car? Understanding is highly overrated in our world. It is truly not necessary. And it comes when it's needed. If we find within ourselves a really deep desire to understand something, then pursue it. Definitely pursue it. Wherever your heart leads, don't let your mind put conditions on you or boss you around. Follow your heart and step into your joy. I mean, that's what that is. And that leads you here, unerringly, that leads you here when you follow your joy. It's a lie, all the stories about how good it is to suffer and, no pain, no gain, and all of it is, pardon me, it's bullshit, stuff and nonsense, airy-fairy ridiculousness. Just like we are when we think we only want light and we want to completely purge and purify ourselves from anything and everything dark. That's fear. It's out of balance and it's unreal. We don't know it at the time. We're very sincere. I mean, with all our heart, we're doing that. Well, okay. Just follow your joy. I think in that path, there's a lot of the mind still present. The mind is evaluating things. And in the end, all things are good. All things serve their purpose, even the negative ones. If we didn't have the hellish circumstances that we're living in now, we wouldn't be having these mass awakenings. We wouldn't be having people so fed up with it that they're coming out of the trance. So it serves its purpose. And what I'm discovering, if I could just share this with you, in the last few days, is that these other planes and dimensions, they are not far away. And they're not alien to us. And I can't tell you why. I don't know that there's a why, but for some reason, it's getting easier to step into the higher consciousness, to enter that awareness, to begin to look at things and see the energy field, see the aura around them, even inanimate things, uh, to, well, aren't we all feeling little tingles and little touches here and there, maybe pains in the head that come and go and odd things? This is our biology and our interior adjusting and adapting. The pineal and the pituitary, the thymus, these things have all but atrophied, and they're waking up now. Hopefully, we're purging and purifying in every way, not just in our diet, but in what we take in, what we place our attention on. I want to call for balance. There are a lot of us who are discovering the horror of all the lies and all of the true conspiracies. It's not theoretical. And just the deceit, the tissue of falsehood and deceit all around, woven into everything in modern society. You get to the top of any pyramid of control, whether it be in business, in government, in various organizations, certainly in banking. Banking is eaten up with it, but it's because it's the money itself is the instrument of slavery, and the banking industry is in closest contact with something that is so unreal, and it represents a misuse of power. As the Andromedans say, it's ridiculous to have to pay to live on a planet where you're born. Gaia can easily support all of us if it wasn't for the few grabbing everything up for themselves with great selfishness. And that's fear too. That's fear on their part. And they don't know it. I mean, I used to be all kinds of things that I wasn't aware of. I was depressed for years. When I was finally tested, I forget what they called it, but it was rather severe, clinical depression, or I don't know. And I was also arrogant. And I didn't know this until I took on a job that I thought I could do. And then I realized, oh my God, I really had an overinflated idea of my training and abilities in this certain area. And so these things are surprising, but maybe they won't be so surprising if we continue to remind ourselves the conscious mind is less than 10% of the mind. Most of us is hidden from us, even in our waking state. Our waking state is really another level of dreaming. I'm convinced, because we know the atom is empty. We know it. We've proved it. 99.99999% empty. It doesn't get much emptier than that. And they might have shortened that, just for convenience sake. So nothing is solid. The fact that it appears to be tells me it's a dream. If we know a certain reality and that reality is not perceptible on some level, we're dreaming. Interesting, huh? But that makes it more fun too, because each and every step of the way, we're taking our power back. Everything we're doing, these new understandings we're entering into, this rising in frequency, all of it, we're taking our power back. As we live from the moment and get out of the mind, we're taking our power back. And it's like I say, we discover in hindsight the changes. It was a while before I noticed that I was stepping out into things that once upon a time I would have been much more cautious about. And it was a good while before it clicked for me you're fearless. That's the difference. I didn't know that I used to have fear. That was just my way of being, you know. And so there's so much that we don't know now, I would say represented by the 10% of the mind that we're operating from. And I would say now it's my guess that we're expanding that percentage and becoming, I mean, just more self-aware. That's always been where the yogis and the teachers, the sages, the gurus, the avatars pointed. Go within. The answers are there. Be still, be silent. Well, these are commands to the mind. Cease and desist, stand down. That's all it is, just stand down. It's not that it goes away. It's not that there's anything wrong with the mind. As a matter of fact, and I find it handy to look at the mind as the four parts: unconscious, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. And I think it's easy to say or easy to see the superconscious as the higher mind, the divine mind. So what we've got is certain tools that are appropriate for 3D, and that would be the 3D mind that works with the brain. You know, when you're out of your body, your brain is not a part of your experience, and you're still functioning just fine. So we really are not the body. We use the body. And I can't even say anymore that I'm in the body, that I'm a spirit or a soul having a human experience in the body, because I have found the reality to be that the body is in me. And it pretzels the mind, but be content with that. Learn to love it. I mean, it's fun. So I had been finding the fifth dimension accessible, partly because of a balance in what I take in. As we're learning about all the negativity, be sure to give equal time to videos that are uplifting, that are calming, that bring you peace, and that nurture you on some level. What you're learning is shocking, and it isn't easy to deal with, and it'll even affect and influence your biology. Everything does. So the ray of attention is powerful. You affect and influence everything you look upon, but it also affects and influences you. I mean, the reality is you're not separate from what you're looking upon. But anyway, just nurture yourself also. Or you'll find yourself out of balance and distressed and just having a hard time. It'll affect you emotionally. So that was something that I wanted to share. Now, what I'm finding, I've gone a little bit the other way and have spent more of my time with the things that are nurturing. If you have a master whose work you really appreciate, somebody whose satsang or darshan, somebody whose energy really blesses you, like a Gangaji or a Ramana Maharshi, Muji, Papaji, a teacher, Byron Katie, I don't know, whomever, whatever floats your boat. I love Papaji a lot. And I ordered, he's got a biography that's 3 books. Let's see. There we go. Can we get the title in there? Maybe I've got too much light on it. Nothing Ever Happened is what it says. And as you see, it's rather thick. And this is volume 1 of 3. And I read a few pages each day. And it's a direct satsang. It's a direct experience. There's a direct sharing, a kind of communication that comes through this. And I would recommend, if you can, if you want to draw closer to that one, do this. Now, this happens to be a biography. I spent a lot of time with Nisargadatta's I Am That, as you know, and still read from it. This will draw you into the Master's presence. Somebody once asked me, why hadn't I gone in person to be like, to listen to Eckhart or Muji or somebody like that? I just don't feel the need. I don't feel that I'm limited by distance. Reading or watching the video, I'm there sufficiently. I'm having the experience. Now, sure, I can imagine it would be more intense in the physical presence, but I just don't feel any lack. Our ideas about time and space are inappropriate. They're just not in alignment with truth. And anytime we're looking at time or space as a limit of any kind, I would say question that. Go within and just question it, because we're not limited. We're everywhere and we're every when. And really, all there is now, here. Time, space are different aspects of the same fish. It's one. And I like the way, if you take now, here, and put the words together, it spells nowhere. That's the heart of it. Nowhere is the heart of everything. It all springs out of the void, out of the nothing, out of the nowhere. In a way, I mean, I don't know. Okay, I just wanted to share with you that you can have the Master walking the rooms of your house with you. It's a matter of not feeling limited. That one hasn't died if their body is in the grave somewhere. That's ridiculous. We've got loads of bodies in graves all over the place, friends. We're not dead. No such thing. Those are just experiences. They come and they go. That's not you and me. And the more we step out of the mindset and the belief in these things, the belief that we're a body, that we can age, that we can die, it's bizarre. It's stuff and nonsense to who and what we really are. And when we keep company with the Masters, we're reminded of our higher reality. We're more in touch with that. Okay, now there's something else that I found helpful. Oh, I don't even have my browser open. Okay, the lady's name is Suzanne, I think it's Lee, L-I-E, and she's a counselor. She's a PhD, and her website, I'm pretty sure, is multidimensions.com. Anyway, she speaks for the Arcturians. And I'm not saying, that this is a fully self-realized being along the lines of a Papaji. I am saying, however, that through her work, I have been brought into contact with higher dimensions. And so she has a gift somehow. She's got a wonderful YouTube site. There are only, I think, 27 videos on it, but they're powerful. These people who can take 5 or 10 minutes and pack such a wallop just amaze me. So between spending time with the Papaji book, which I love to start my days that way. Of course, now that I've said it, Murphy's Law will kick in and other things will get in the way, and it's funny. Oh, it's funny how 3D works. But anyway, and her videos. And not too much of that other stuff. just enough, you know. I've been listening some to Michael Tessarian. He's a good researcher uh, in his own right. He's studied very deeply, and we all benefit when someone is called to spend their life mastering a certain field or understanding or mythology or whatever it is, and they delve so deeply into it with such devotion. We need to sit and hush and listen. We need to sit at their feet and listen and be blessed and benefited, because that's you doing that. That's done for you. We are the one. And we all bring our gifts to the table. And so he is one that I think his gifts are fairly well polished. And he teaches about the darkness and the mechanisms and methods of control and how they've worked, you know, along the lines of a kind of like a David Icke. He's more like this other guy whose name I can't call to mind right now. It's funny. Jordan Maxwell is his mentor. Okay, so is there anything else? Well, there's one other little idea I had written down that I wanted to put out there and see how it would come through. In reading Nothing Ever Happened, I'm still in his early years, and he met Ramana Maharshi, and actually he was totally unimpressed with him on first meeting. It's kind of amazing. But anyway, he kind of cemented his awakening in the presence of Ramana, and sat when he could in the satsangs with the saint, because he was a saint. And he noticed that a devotee asked a question, and the way Ramana Maharshi answered it, he told him that, you know, where is the heart? And he said, it's on the right side of your chest. And after he had answered, Papaji piped up and said, how can you say that? It's neither in the body nor not, and so on and so on. And Ramana Maharshi said, I speak that way to someone who is still identified with the body. Of course, you're correct. It's neither in the body nor out of the body. It could be said to be everywhere. But that kind of an answer, and I'm extrapolating here, that kind of an answer isn't useful to someone still identified with the body. And it suddenly hit me, you know, when we step out on the path of truth, we want to be real, sincere, true, and walk in integrity. And so we get this idea that we need to be the same with everyone because we're being our real, true, authentic self, and we want to give our best. And even that's quite a challenge, you know, being real with everyone, and even admirable. But being appropriate for who you're speaking with, I was really grateful to find that in the behavior of the guru. And it really answers something for me. Sorry about that, folks. Actually, I don't know how to turn it off, because when I turn the ringer down, it'll still do that. So, you know, short of unplugging it, I don't know what to do. So I think, Yeah, I'm glad I mentioned it because what comes to me now is that we are self-focused and we're still identified with the body-mind when we're trying to be authentic and be ourself, and pretty much the same with everybody. We're still identifying with the form. When we let that go, it's much more natural. What I find is that, like when people write to me, I don't know, there's not always an answer. A lot of times there is, but there's not always an answer. But I find that it's spirit that comes and gives the answer. And I'm really glad, because if spirit doesn't come and give the answer, I really don't have too much to say, because with the use of just the 3D tools, the body and the mind, I don't know what someone needs. I just trust if the answer, flows from heart, that spirit knows and spirit's offering what's appropriate. So it changes. And it's not that I have any concern at all with being a me. That's not what's happening there. And I don't know that I can make that a whole lot clearer now. Oh dear, and I've hit 30 minutes, so I think I'll call a halt. Have a blessed day, my friends. Have a blessed hour, a blessed moment. Good day. Along with it, I don't know how it's going for the people who aren't on any kind of a spiritual path. Right now, I really wouldn't want to be them, because this shifting is going on there too. But when you're identified with the body or with the body mind, and you're not inward focused, well, things seem more difficult, with less understanding given about it. Now, I'm still a little uncomfortable with the camera again. I got comfortable with it for a while, but maybe it's me I'm uncomfortable with. I don't know. But it'll be descriptive if I say I'm sensing the fifth dimension being present here in the third. Now, I'd say we're shifting from here to there. We also already, it's not a place we're going, we already have a fifth dimensional presence. We have, if you could imagine it, stacked up above us, layers and levels. And this is just a linear way to describe something that's not at all linear, so keep it in mind. You have a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and I don't know how high it goes. A being that actually is you. But rather than write this, I know some people enjoy it much more if I just turn on the camera and talk. You'd be surprised how hard that is, or can be. My now of late has been special. More and more, the two worlds that we're walking in, I'm sensing they're merging. I'm sensing, just to give it a word, okay? Don't get stuck in the words. It's not necessarily this. Good morning. It's a special day somehow. I guess they all are. I guess every moment is, if we're just alert to it. And that's hard, especially for our brethren who have to work a job and who have worldly responsibilities. I know that's hard. but it's still possible. This is as close as our breath at any time. Well, things have continued to change and yet stay the same in some strange way. The last few months have been overall somewhat challenging energetically, keeping up with the now I'm just guessing, but what I seem to perceive as the incoming floods and rushes of energy. And things are shifting. And it's actually shifting our biology.